Because you wouldn't see me as a Yoruba man, you spoke for me. Because you wouldn't see me as a Christian, you spoke for me. Because you spoke. Because you spoke. Because you spoke. Because you spoke, Nigeria couldn't happen to me. Because you spoke.
Human rights advocate Dele Farotimi has been released from the correctional center in Ekiti State.
For one to come and say, I won my cases through corruption, strikes at the bottom of all I am. That was why I rejected every appeal to take the case out of court. There is nothing I'm going to gain by his imprisonment.
In December 2024, a Nigerian lawyer was arrested, jailed for 21 days and charged with cybercrime for writing a book. He was Dele Farotimi, a prominent Nigerian lawyer and a political activist known for his outspoken advocacy for justice, good governance and systemic reforms in Nigeria. He has appeared in many talk shows and political analysis on television news programs, giving valuable insights into the political interplay of Nigeria. In July 2024, he published the book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, and exposed what he alleged was corruption in Nigeria's judiciary.
I'm saying that Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary.
However, when a member of Afe Babalola's law firm bought and read the book in Murtala Mohammed Airport in November, he found serious allegations against the firm's eponymous founder, Afe Babalola, senior advocate of Nigeria, founder of Afe Babalola University, and one of the most decorated lawyers in Nigerian history, was named repeatedly in the book's allegations.
On November 19, 2024, Babalola petitioned the Ekiti State Commissioner of Police, citing a 2005 land dispute case in which his firm and Farotimi had represented opposing sides. In his petition, he stated, I write to report the criminal defamation of myself, my law firm Afe Babalola & Co., and my lawyers, by one Dele Farotimi. The dispute concerned 254 hectares of Lagos land between the Eletu and Akinloye families. The Supreme Court had awarded judgment to the Eletu family, but Farotimi alleged that Babalola's team returned to court, claimed a clerical error in the judgment, and walked away with the full 254 hectares instead of the original award. In his book, he wrote that Afe Babalola got the court to swim in the sea of corruption and shameful self-abnegation. These were not vague insinuations, they were direct accusations, named and documented against one of Nigeria's most powerful legal minds, and he did not let them slide. On December 3rd, 2024, police officers from Ekiti State stormed Farotimi's office in Lagos and arrested him before turning to Ekiti with him. He was detained that night and brought before the Ado-Ekiti Magistrate Court and charged on 16 counts of criminal defamation. Magistrate Abayomi Adeosun denied him bail and remanded him in the Ado-Ekiti Correctional Center. 3 days later, on December 6, the Inspector General of Police filed a fresh 12-count cybercrime charge against Farotimi at the Federal High Court in Ado-Ekiti, separate from and on top of the existing 16-count defamation charge at the Magistrate Court. This stemmed from Farotimi's appearance on the mic on podcast in August, where he repeated the same allegations. On December 9, Federal High Court Judge Babs Kwemi granted Farotimi a 50 million naira bail.
News reaching us now confirms that Dele Farotimi has been granted bail of 50 million naira surety in the like sum with someone with landed property, and the case has been adjourned to the 29th of January 2025.
On December 11, the Abuja High Court ordered the seizure of all physical copies of Farotimi's book nationwide and restrained him from publishing. or distributing it in any form.
Despite the grants, Farotimi remained in the correctional center, the conditions too stringent to meet overnight. The 16 counts defamation charge was reduced to 14 on December 20 after Farotimi pleaded not guilty. He was released on December 24 after bureaucratic delays in verifying surety documents with banks and government agencies. His release was announced by Showore on X, and he later appeared on YouTube, emotional and in tears, dedicating his freedom to every Nigerian who had spoken up for him. While he was in prison, a large portion of Nigerians denounced the arrest of Farotimi, calling it a misuse of legal machinery for personal reasons.
This case reopened conversations Nigerians have been having around power, accountability, and who the law really protects. We took these questions to the street of the University of Ibadan. Here's what students had to say.
The question is it defamatory per se? And I will say yes, it's defamatory per se.
Why is it defamatory?
It has affected the reputations of the Afe Babalola, and I think that's the major reason why the matter was actually stated to court. If you have a tangible evidence, which is justification or truth, it can avail you from defamation. Do you get it? But the question is that such justification or truth must be substantiated. The only body that can exercise complaints in respect to criticism from a lawyer to a judge is the NJC, which is the National Judicial Council. So a lawyer cannot go online to go and publicize or make anything that can dent the image of the judiciary or even the image of the judge per se. So there's a limited access to criticism when it comes to judge. But if your nene brother may be a lawyer to a lawyer, then you can go online, but ensure that the justification or truth will be substantiated.
But basically, I feel there is nothing bad in that, as far as the evidence is true and the basis is valid.
So you're saying he shouldn't go to prison?
They shouldn't go to prison. Thank you. We actually can't criticize them without fear. There will still be this iota of fear in each of our speech. A lot of people don't get away with it.
Yes.
Because we've heard of many cases of people will speak up, being tracked down and detained or bullied. Yes, we are in Nigeria.
My name is Kingsley.
Have you, or do you think Nigerians have the privilege to post what they feel online?
Yes, they do.
Have you ever been scared of posting your own opinions online?
No, I haven't.
So are you saying that you can say whatever you want and whatever you feel about them?
No, whatever I feel that is right about the government, yes, I can say it. I can put it online.
Then what of the context defamation or their name? So do you think that they will not come after you, or they will not feel that you are attacking them wrongly if you are going to post without any proof?
Definitely, I'm not going to post without proof. I'm going to make sure, if I want to post something about the government, I'm going to make sure that I have concrete evidence that is going to back up my claims. So I will not just put something online and then I will not get to know that, okay, that what I posted is wrong. I have to have concrete evidence to know, to back up my claims.
These are the voices of ordinary Nigerians. But what does the law actually say? And was it applied correctly in this case?
Section 373 of the Criminal Code Act, which mostly applies to southern states in Nigeria, defines defamatory matter as any matter published in writing, printing, word of mouth or otherwise, which is likely to injure the reputation of a person by exposing them to hatred, contempt, or ridicule, or likely to damage a person's reputation in their profession, their trade, their office, their calling, or their business, or likely to injure their reputation in respect of any act done in the discharge of their duties or their character or conduct as a public or private individual, which is, what Dele Farotimi and Afe Babalola's case would most likely tilt to. In fact, it most likely covers all those three elements, because it's most likely to ridicule him and see him as someone who is not a person of integrity. It affects his reputation in his profession, in his business, his career, and it also, affects his reputation in the discharge of his duties. So the matter must have been published in malicious intent. It can be by spoken words, it can be in writing, it can be signs, it can be objects, it can even be memes, it can be any substance and can be direct or insinuated or ironical, and it doesn't even matter if the person is alive or dead. It's always possible for personal representatives or the estate of the deceased person to take an action against any person that tries to defame a family member that is dead. To appear in court and you want to prove defamation, there are major elements you need to prove. Was there a publication to a third party? If someone just wrote a book as a diary in his house, he has not published it to another person, has not communicated the defamatory content to a third party, there is no publication. Allowing defamatory comments to stay on your premises, under your control, can even count as the publication if another person could have access to it reasonably. When you look at civil libel, you're looking at something relating to a personal injury to someone's reputation. And then when you look at criminal litigation, it has gone beyond just a damage to one's reputation. It has affected public peace. It has probably incited public disorder or hatred against a person. So those are distinctive features that the courts as well as the laws give on the difference between civil and criminal libel. It was the application of the Cyber Crimes Act to Farotimi's podcast interview fair? The Cyber Crimes Act, the 2015 Act, even without discussing it here, it's already a provision that the ECOWAS court has already considered to be defective because it conflicts with the fundamental human rights of freedom of expression. And that provision has been used to practically witch hunt comments of people, criticizing various ills in the society. So I've not really seen the podcast interview, but I would like to believe that he practically just gave more credence to whatever he wrote in his book. If you read those provisions, section 24(1)b, it looks at using computer systems with the intention of sending a message that one knows to be false and for the purpose of causing hatred, anxiety, annoyance in the society. But there is now a 2024 amendment which talks about giving any false information for the purpose of causing breakdown of law and order. Can he prove truth? Can he prove truth? Can he prove whatever defenses that are available under defamation? If he can prove that, even the Cyber Crimes Act will not necessarily apply to his case. The charges were withdrawn before trial. Does that mean the legal questions go unanswered? Well, yes, largely. I think the Nigerian system, the traditional rulers, probably took a second look at decisions and just felt, in the interest of peace, and also because the international community do not necessarily agree with our approach on cyber stalking and cyberbullying, that seems to also stifle freedom of expression. It might be a need to step back, So the charges were withdrawn, the legal questions go unanswered, but there is something that is clear. Governments should not be allowed to use whatever means, even any legislation that has been enacted into force to stop people from making free speeches, giving their free opinion that they want to give. So what does this case signal to journalists, activists, and bloggers? You just have to be sure that whatever facts that you're giving out is true. That is what I believe, so that at least there's some form of defense when any action is brought against you. Because as much as we're trying to sanitize the system by saying, first of all, listen to, read whatever material is put out before you conclude there's a defamatory material made with malice, or it's a cyber stalking known to be false and just for the purpose of causing any form of enmity or public disorder or whatsoever. Ensure that that information that you're passing out as a journalist is true. As an activist, just be sure that there are facts based on honest opinions about society. As a journalist, as an activist, make sure that your words are true. Make sure that there's a strong basis for whatever communication. But if you are using blogs to make your opinion known about some political ills, ensure that it's true. Ensure that you're giving your honest opinion. Ensure that it's just a free and fair analysis of whatever is happening in the society.
That was the law as it stood. But this case did not just end in the courtroom. Here is where things stand today. The charges were dropped, but not everything was resolved. On January 29, 2025, Justice Kwewumi struck out the cybercrime charges without contest from the prosecution. Babalola had withdrawn, not as concession but framed publicly as an act of forgiveness. Brokered by the Oni of Ife behind closed doors at 11 o'clock at night. The criminal defamation charge, filed independently by the police, remained active. The civil suits from Babalola's associates, seeking over 1 billion naira in damages, were untouched. On June 12, 2025, Nigerian Democracy Day, 5 Western missions issued a joint statement citing this case by name. They warned that the Cyber Crimes Act had become a tool for silencing Nigerian civic voices. Dele Farotimi spent 21 days in prison. He was never convicted. The allegations in his book were never tested in court, and the man he accused never had to answer a single one of them. But as the years pass and greater issues continue to arise, we must continue to question: can Nigerians criticize public figures without fear?